Welcome to another episode of Are You Mad at Me? I'm Vickie Morgan.
I'm Josh Morgan.
This is episode 30. If you've been around for the ride, you're probably pretty tired of my voice right now. But if you're new, welcome.
30 episodes in,
better.
if they're still listening, they're probably not tired of your voice.
Yeah, maybe. What do we got this week?
I don't know.
I'm into rats again this week.
I mean, we changed up our set a little bit.
Yeah, this is not how it's going to stay.
We just needed a change.
I need a change.
Is this how you tell me you're moving out?
No.
I need a change.
I just need to find myself. I did mean to bring a puppet into the shot, though, for this one. So can we get a puppet before this one's over?
Yeah.
I want to do some new stuff. I don't know if we're, I'm having a mid-podcast crisis.
Mid-podcast?
Which I think probably usually happens around 40, but we're getting one early at 30. So I think that's where I am. But I need something. I feel like it's just getting a little, for me, like a little stale, I feel like we need to shake things up a little bit. I'm a little bit tired of self-publishing.
I was going to say, I think you might be, I think you might be just overextended a little bit on the self-publishing. Not overextended, but we've pushed the self-publishing a lot.
In the wise words of my grandmother, I never want to see another potato as long as I live.
Yeah.
I'm booked out. I'm booked out. I don't want to see another book or publish it. I mean, I'm still writing every day, and I love that. And
love that journey for you.
Aw. If you haven't read The Artist's Way, I highly recommend it for anybody that is in 9-to-5 jobs and says, "Oh, I'm not an artist." I know Josh was one of those people who said, "I want to do creative stuff, but I don't know what I'd be doing." Anyway, read The Artist's Way. The recommendation, and there's another one called The Listening Path by Julia Cameron. She wrote both of those, and she has a bunch of workbooks out that you can also, you can do like a group. You can get together with a group of people and do The Artist's Way together. And essentially it's 12 weeks where you commit to writing 3 pages longhand with a pen or pencil and a piece of paper every morning as soon as you start the day for 3 pages. It's long form, it's rambling, it's just stream of consciousness. It's nothing that you're ever going to share with anybody. And you do that for about 12 weeks. And every week you take yourself on an artist date, which is fill in the cup. So whatever it just makes you a little bit more mindful of the creative process. And a lot of people, it awakens what's in everybody. And that's the artist. It awakens the inner artist.
Like the point of the morning pages, if I remember correctly, is it's to kind of jumpstart, get all the crap out. To get like starting your car after a couple months, working all the crap out of the system, getting all the stuff out of your head that's going to get in the way of you being creative and positive and self confident and encouraging to yourself and all that stuff. Yeah.
I think it opens a door. And I think also when you consciously look at 12 weeks of your writing, so you're not supposed to look back for the first 8 of those weeks. You're not supposed to read anything that you've written. You're just supposed to turn to the next page, start fresh the next day, and write 3 pages. And around 8 weeks, that's when she says it's if you want to look back or whatever. And then by the 12th week, usually you're so sick to death of complaining about the same garbage that you start making changes in your life. So fair warning, it will change your life. It will make you very irritable with the same old garbage that happens and the same old stuff that you take in, and you just get tired of it. You see
but it also
pattern.
Jumpstarts creativity.
Well, you start noticing the pattern, but it opens that door. Writing the actual magic wand of a pen in your hand, and the power that writing something down that you want to do in your life it's beyond words.
Yeah.
It's an ancient, it's not a brand newfangled woo-woo thing. It's really this has been around for a very, very long time, the actual art of writing, pen to paper. It unlocks something in you because I don't know if it's psychologically the process of forming the letters on the paper, or if it's the movement, or if it's whatever, that you stop thinking as much, you stop editing as you're writing and stuff. And then of course when you get used to doing stream of consciousness, you stop judging it as it's coming out. So you go, you know what, this is just garbage. And so even if you write for 3 pages every single morning, man, that Vickie Morgan, what a moron. Or if you say, I don't know why I said that out loud just now. That's not helpful. I heard that. Every cell in my body just heard that. I don't believe that.
You don't actually want people to write that.
Well, but they can if it makes them feel better. But it can be, Vickie, this is so silly. I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't believe you talked me into this. Write that for 3 pages. Eventually you will get to a point. You will find that there's big movement. And Julia Cameron, who wrote this book many, many years ago, she was actually teaching workshops for writers. And a good friend of hers, was kind of her life coach, best friend kind of thing. And he said, why don't you write this book? This is in the book. He said, why don't you write this all down? What you teach in these classes. She was in like New York, in like the mecca of art back in the day when everybody was still,
She taught like screenwriting and
back
stuff,
in the
right?
70s. No, it was a writing. It was for unblocking creatives.
Oh.
Yeah, it was for creatives. So what she was doing week after week after week, she had a friend in her life who said, why don't you write this as a book? And she did. And look, I think it took a little bit of encouragement along the way and stuff, like to keep on going, because she, like many people, thought and said in her book, this is so stupid. I can't believe I'm doing this. Who would this ever help? And she didn't really believe in it. But there was someone said to her, you should write a book. And then she followed through on it because she was doing all this great stuff. And so that book is like a international bestseller. It's been translated into a bunch of different languages. You can get workbooks to go along with it. You can do it with a group. You can do the exercises with a group of people. But it really is an individual journey where you write and take yourself on an artist date once a week. Read the book. It'll tell you all about it.
One thing that I really connected with in that book was the idea of like when you start something, when you start a new project, whether it's like drawing a picture or writing a story or any, like even cooking sometimes feels like this to me, but like when you start out doing something, it's not the finished product. Like the thing you start with is usually terrible compared to what you're going to get to eventually. Like if you're doing a painting, you start with a sketch and it's like the sketch looks terrible. Like obviously if you're looking at a sketch, you're like, this isn't the painting that I want. We make this really good cheese dip all the time with Velveeta cheese and sausages and stuff, salsa, and it looks awful for the first 3/4 of the time we're preparing it.
Yep.
And then when it comes together, it's like, oh, this is, beautiful. But so like that idea of like,
don't judge it before it's done.
Judging yourself when you start to do something, like when you start to write, if you don't have that practice of writing and writing and writing just to get it out, then you have like you're as soon as you start making something, it's like, this is crap. This doesn't look like the final product that I want. So it's obviously garbage. Nobody's going to want to look at this or read this or listen to this or eat this.
Yeah.
So it's good to get that practice and get it out, and then
just
you can
understanding. I think that the first draft is not the polished product.
I found that
and
a lot
okay
with
to be
graphic
gentle with
design
yourself.
stuff.
Yeah,
because like I start making a poster, and I'm like, man, this is terrible. Like all these colors are wrong, and then there's fonts are all terrible, and I can't, But then eventually it's like, oh, I figured it out. Sometimes it's still terrible.
Through it. And not expecting it to come out perfect the first time.
Yeah.
Or not just the first time, just the first draft is not going to be the polished thing that...
Yeah.
I don't know where it came from. I don't know. I know they started doing it differently years and years later, but when I was in like 4th grade and we started doing cursive writing, it was like I always felt this pressure to not make any mistakes whatsoever. Like the idea... So then years later when we were doing like free form writing in high school, and the teachers would say, don't worry about punctuation, just write. And I was like, I can't ever do that.
You remember doing typing tests?
Yeah.
Whenever I would do a typing test, like in high school, we had typing class or keyboard class.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Keyboarding.
It was like, it would show you your words per minute and then a number of mistakes. Mm-hmm. And I'd always get to the end of the test and be like, why is that there? Because I always backspace. Like I'm always going back and fixing I'm like, who's not... Like
who's going to carry on?
It's like, I can make my words per minute go way up if I have mistakes.
Yeah.
But I'm like backspace.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yes, I also when I was doing secretarial school, we had typing tests, and it was
that's a good lesson. The first draft is not the final draft.
Yes, and your words per minute goes way up when you
if you
just leave a mistake in, because you can go back. I don't know if I have like a phobia about
you hate
someone
editing too, though.
I hate it.
Like going back and fixing something or changing it.
Yeah. Well, I just don't like going back over the same idea because I don't know, maybe I just don't like the sound of my own voice. I don't know. Like if I leave it alone, then I can almost pretend that somebody else wrote it. But it's like the idea of reading my own stuff back over again is like, ugh. And I kind of have just gotten into the habit of I wrote it the way I wanted it the first time. Because I don't plow through. I like punctuate and I put in what I want and I say it the way I want to say it. And very seldom do I change the first draft. But I hate it. I hate it so much. And the third, just all these books, like I hate the editing process. But I know it's necessary. But I need a break from it before I can go back with fresh eyes and go, okay, I can treat this like a brand new piece of material. Otherwise, I'm skipping ahead. And this is a thing that happens in a lot of editing. I'm skipping ahead. Like, yeah, I know what I meant to say. So I'm missing mistakes. So I'm skipping over. Like, I know what I meant to say there, and I don't see little spelling mistakes or little things that are out of place. And I don't expect that I'm making mistakes in there because I feel like I've tried to be so perfect along the way, but that's another thing to just let go.
Yeah. And, like, I think it's important to see other creators, whether they're artists or writers or woodworkers or anything, like make mistakes,
Beekeepers.
like get to the final product. Because it feels like, I always thought when I was like, I've always really liked drawing, but I always just assumed that people would just sit down and draw like it was something really good. And seeing that, like, because usually people don't share their crap first drafts.
Yeah.
So I just assume that I'm not an artist, because I can't sit down and just draw something perfect. It takes me a lot, like, to get something I'm proud of. There's a lot of erasing and redrawing and that sort of thing. But like, I think it's important to see that even the people that are successful and are like we look up to, or they're like making mistakes and going back and editing and fixing things and tweaking. And like Joel Hines said the other day, like that when we went to a reading or something, he was saying he just
writes it 15 times over.
Just keeps writing and keeps he's meticulous about.
I couldn't do that. I don't think there's enough money on the planet.
But to read his stories, you think
something.
like, he just sat down and wrote this, and it was just this exact voice that he was going for. But he pours over it, and yeah.
So something I discovered while you were doing graphic design. Congratulations on graduation, by the way.
Thank you. Graduation was last week. I did not attend, but I did see pictures on Instagram.
Well, our favorite instructor wasn't going to be there, so that's all we needed to know, really. That's what it comes down to.
He was there.
It would have been a chance to hang out with Craig. Other than that, it would have been like, we've done, I mean, how many grad ceremonies have we been to?
The funny thing was,
really,
that's true. We've been to several.
We've been to a lot.
So the funny thing was, it was you get 2 tickets. The graduate and then like your parents, basically. But it's like, well, we have 2 kids, so we want 3 tickets. And it's like, no, you can't. You can't buy an extra ticket.
Which is kind of funny. But like how,
so it's like
how
either we leave the kids at home.
But how progressive is that? That there's no adults at CNA with more than one guest that you want to come. Like, it's just not built around. So there's some changes need to happen, I think.
When we graduated from USM, University of Southern Maine, back in
same thing.
I think it was when you graduated. And then I went back. Anyway.
You hadn't attended your grad ceremony.
Yeah. So in 2016, the year after when you graduated, they had like a family and sensory graduation, like something. But basically it was just like.
There was like 16 of us.
The least amount of people that you can have in this auditorium.
Yeah. It was for people that didn't like crowds and noise and had sensory issues.
Or had kids. And so we had like Henry and Peter. So it was 2016.
So we included you in the graduation ceremony.
So I got to go along.
Because you hadn't picked up your diploma from the year before. Yeah. So they did not like that. They don't love giving out a grade like that, I'll tell you. But it was, we requested, because you hadn't picked up your diploma and done the ceremony the year before, you were entitled. And so we said, can he just do it at this sensory-friendly ceremony? And it just happened to be one that I was going to be at. And so it was... So
Henry would have been 4, and Peter would have been...
Even younger?
1 or 2?
1 or 2, yeah. So
maybe Henry was 5. 2016. So Henry was 5 and Peter was 2. Yeah. So we had little kids. So each one of us.
So it was Josh Morgan first.
So me and Peter went up, and then you and Henry went up, or maybe it was the opposite.
Yeah.
But
well, it was alphabetical, so it would have been Josh Morgan first, and then Vickie Morgan.
Yeah, I don't remember which kid we took though.
I don't remember either. I know they stole the show.
Yeah, we
were the only people there with kids. It was one of those like extenuating circumstances. It was not meant for families. It was meant for people with sensory issues, or I guess they had like ramps and stuff up. So it was people with disabilities and sensory stuff. And so we were like, well, you know what? I've been under the whole what's that Office of Disabilities or with the help of men, and they were not helpful. That was one of those, like, it was one of the worst experiences was going through the disability office to try to get any kind of an accommodation, because it was like marking yourself to stand out and be given a hard time. And I watched people get there was one guy that had PTSD. I mean, they crucified him. It was, I don't know whatever became of him, but it was like watching him go through it was like, oh my God.
That was the guy that introduced you to cannabis for PTSD, right?
Yep. That was a guy that had, the teachers were giving him a hard, and he had a plan, like he had what do you call it? An accommodation in the class. And I just remember the teacher just giving it to him and just giving him such a hard time. He was a grown man. He was at least 50. And he had a meltdown. He left the classroom, didn't no violence or nothing like that. He had a personal breakdown on campus where he wandered around campus, didn't know where he was for the rest of that day. And when I saw him about a week later, I was like, dude, what happened after that? And he was like, oh, I completely lost it. I was wandering around, like they found me. My wife came and got me, and was like, it was for nothing. There was nothing important going on in that class. It was just like, I don't even remember what the issue was. I just remember them really giving him a hard time. So shout out to USM. I can't imagine it's any better, but it was not a nice place for anyone with a disability. So we came along and said, hey, since I've been part of the disability office or whatever, can I come to the graduation? And so again, they probably changed the policy after we left, but it was the only way that we could attend together because you were only allowed one ticket. And if you had done your ceremony a year before, but anyway, we ended up graduating together.
And then when
so
we got our
fun.
master's degrees, we were both in a different country, so those got mailed to us.
Yeah, and mine was I was on a Zoom call for my graduation because
virtual graduation ceremony,
April 2020. So that was like lackluster. But anyway,
so
we have been to other graduations. So I went to my I missed my CNA grad because that was mailed to me. But I did go to my office administration graduation. So you went to your Air Force graduation.
Well, I mean, that was really the only thing we had was basic training.
And high school. You went to your high school grade?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess we haven't been to that many. But we have graduated many times.
Yeah.
So we could do a ceremony here on the podcast if you want. What do you want me to go get you a hat?
No, thank you.
Are you sure? Are you sure? Yeah. Anyway, first drafts.
So I assume we'll get the diploma in the mail in the next few weeks or months or something.
One thing, this is what I was going to say. One thing I learned during your graphic design program was inking, that you draw it with a pencil first, and then when you're completely done, you can erase stuff with one of those vinyl erasers, and use proper good drawing pencils. And it's nothing fancy. You just go to Michael's and you get drawing pencils instead of the ones that come.
The only difference with them is there's different sizes. So like there's pencils for.
There's different settings. There's HB and.
Yeah, so those are just the size of the lid that's inside them.
So I thought they were soft.
Some of them are softer, some of them are, but it's like for shading or for drawing thick lines or whatever. But the HB is the one that's basically just like a number 2 pencil that you just use that's what we use most of the time. But they're like what I'm saying is they're not anything special. It's just different sizes, different types of lead. The size, if you look at them, the size of the lead inside is thicker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm saying it's not like you gotta go
fancy.
spend $10 on a pencil.
Yeah, you can get them at Michael's. They're still like pennies per pencil, but it's so getting to use a fancy pencil and then the vinyl erasers. And then when you're with the finished product, then you ink it afterwards. And I hate this. Like the thought of saying this out loud right now is like, ugh. But finishing the paper, like the drawing on paper, and then you ink the lines that you want to keep and you erase everything afterwards. And that to me sounds like a nightmare. But it is one of the most satisfying things I've ever done artistically. I loved it.
We did that for the coloring pages in the new books.
Yeah.
And we drew a whole bunch of stuff with pencil and then inked it.
It was so fun.
And then erased all the pencil and then scanned it and made it into a JPEG for the book. And yeah.
I'm very uncomfortable with this shot. I feel like my boobs are hanging down to my waist.
Well, you don't ever get to look at yourself while
I know.
doing the podcast.
This is super.
So
I feel like I'm still trying to prop them up.
I'm just going to block the
but
computer.
But it's really like...
Don't look at the computer.
I feel very
You look fantastic. You look very pretty.
There's like bulges with this little
there
sweatshirt.
Isn't.
And it
there
feels
isn't.
Like
You're imagining that.
Really?
It's not, yeah. Everything's right where it should be.
So into rats. I wouldn't even notice that if I was in a better frame of mind. So we did publish a whole bunch of books last week, and I just feel like we need a revamp on the podcast. Like I feel like a little boxed in. I feel like, okay, once the books are all done, maybe we can do some music stuff. Maybe we can try. I had a call from a comedy thing the other day, and that was kind of comical. I don't know if they watched the podcast, so
comical.
Is it okay to say it? Yeah, it's fine. It's not a big deal. Someone got in touch and asked if I wanted some time at an open mic, and I said, no, thank you. But what I would like is time on the next paid show because, I'm not new. Like, I know I'm new to comedy, but I'm not new as a performer, and I think it went well. And I'm sure there might be a few people listening to this just cringing, going, ugh, what an arrogant asshole. I can't believe she asked for paid gigs, but fuck that. I am funny, and I did a good job. And to be left out of shows that our friends are doing hurt my feelings, and I just was tired of carrying that around.
And you've headlined a couple shows.
Yeah, and they went really well.
Yeah.
And the bar owners were asking us to come back and do more shows. So that's solid evidence to me. And I just was tired of feeling shitty. Like seeing the posters for the shows that our friends were doing, who I love. I love these people. But it was like, oh, they didn't ask me to be a part of that one. And it's like, Vickie, did you ask? Because that's the difference. Hannah Slay, thank God for Hannah Slay. She said, Vickie, I used to go to these events. It was on the podcast. You should go back a few episodes. She's amazing. Hannah was a guest on this show. And she said, when you go to these shows where all these men are headlining and they have all these slots, they asked. That's the difference in a room, is that men ask.
Yeah.
And so I had a guy years and years ago. He's long since passed, but he was kind of a dick. He said, Vickie, I'd recommend you for this job that's coming up, but I just find you too manly. So I think that's a good start. That if being a man or being manly or being not afraid to ask, I was afraid, but I asked anyway. But I felt a lot better. I felt lighter. That doesn't mean I'm going to do any shows. I just felt really shitty.
It's good to get it out.
Getting overlooked by people who care about me, or at least say they care about me, and I care about them. But it was like I felt lighter. Good. It felt a lot better to say it out loud and go, no, I don't want free time to fill your slots and fill your show. Like I would do that because I would love to go work stuff out. But watching people go through and produce shows and stuff, and I mean, I include my friends when I make shows. So.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I'm not into rats. I just feel like I'm blossoming or coming out of some kind of chrysalis or something. I don't know. Oh my God, not to call myself like a beautiful butterfly or anything, but that's where I am. I just feel like, okay, enough of this. Enough of this bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, why that I'm not talented? Like, that's not it. But I really feel like it might be time to just start saying, okay, so I'm trying to figure out what the next step is with the podcast, because we got a lot of books coming out. We went to a book launch this weekend.
Yeah,
set the bar pretty high for me. We saw this book launch. Mike Boyle's book was released a few weeks back.
Also, he was on the podcast, Mike and Randy, that wrote the book.
Yep.
So go back a few.
So Mike Boyle and Randy Crane, they published On New Turf, and spectacular book. Absolutely spectacular read. Really, really good. And it's on Amazon in audiobook. It's on ebook and paperback. Sorry, not audiobook. But we went to the book launch and went to Fairyland for it, and the room was packed. And at least every second person bought a copy of the book. And they read from the book, and the audience was engaged. They laughed at all the funny parts. It was the middle of the afternoon. Nobody was drunk. It was wild. It was a really, really nice experience.
I'm pretty sure he sold more than 30 books.
And the money was just flowing. It was like people were buying at least one copy, if not two. So they invited us to get up and speak and talk about the publishing process. And so I don't know, I haven't even looked at that footage yet, but I had an idea to have everybody hold up their copy of the book.
Yeah, that was a great idea.
It was a great shot because there was books everywhere.
So everybody
and
that
right
bought a book in the audience in front of the podium, everybody held up the copy of their book that they had just bought. And so it was a whole crowd
of his book cover.
Of people holding up this book that they
and right in the front row, proud as a peacock, was Mike Boyle, like watching this happen and watching this room of support. And so I gotta say, it really raised the bar for me for what's possible here in Newfoundland. It seems sometimes like it's kind of a small little spot and things are not possible, or at least, only on a small scale. But it was impressive. The room was packed and people were filtering in oh, sorry to interrupt. And like, no, come on in. There's lots of room. We had to bring out more chairs. It was beautiful. So
it was really nice.
Congratulations to Mike and Randy on a really, really successful launch. And they're going to be doing some more readings and signings and stuff around the province for the next little while. And they're going to Ireland. So they're doing a little tour with that. And next weekend, June 21st, we are at the Avalon Mall in front of
Coles.
In front of Coles to do an author. It's like an author
showcase.
Yeah, there's like 12 of us. 10 or 12 authors are going to be out in front of the.
I think it's more than that.
Out where Santa Claus usually is in the Avalon Mall. So there's going to be at least 12, right? I think there might be 20. I'm not sure. I think it might be 10 tables. Anyway, they've asked me to be there and have some copies of the book on hand for signings and stuff. And it was like I'm sitting with the big boys and big girls, because there's publishers and lots of books that have been published by big publishing houses here in the province, and little old me sitting there with my self-published bestsellers. So
that's gonna be fun.
Stuff I didn't even imagine was possible, self-publishing a book, but it is very, very possible. So we got that coming up, and by then there should be new versions of the How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer came out last week.
Ebook.
It's as an ebook. My proof copy is coming in the mail tomorrow, so it'll take 2 or 3 days after that for it to be available in paperback everywhere you can buy, all Amazon platforms, everywhere around the world, which is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That I'm sitting in my house, hitting publish, and it's available around the world, and I don't have to do a thing. I don't have to print them. I don't have to warehouse hundreds of copies. It'll just show up at your house like a few days after. So
Yeah.
I hope everybody likes it. Please leave a review if you do read it. And then we got the coloring books. So all that to say, at the event the other day, I showed the coloring books, and it was comical being in front of a crowd and saying, yeah, congratulations to Mike, whatever. And Josh and I have been working on these coloring books, and the crowd of people, I mean, they were between 40 and 80 for real.
Yeah.
And they just went, ugh. Like they just let out this collective sigh of, ugh. And I was like, oh, I'm losing them. And I was like, no, I'm not losing this. So I went, here's the book. And I held it up. And when I turned the pages to the coloring pages, and I said, these are all hand-drawn, no AI. And when I got to the first coloring page, they went, oh.
Yeah, everybody seemed pretty impressed.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, see, this is what, when I'm just describing, and I was like, adult coloring. And they were like,
yeah, okay.
Disgusted.
Right.
But when I showed them, there was a lot of interest in, well, first of all, in publishing. A lot of people came up talking about writing their first book. And a lot of people had said, someone told me I should write a book. I'm like, yep, you absolutely should. And so the books that are coming out takes the pressure off of us. Like if you don't want to pay us a few $1,000s,
yeah,
you can do it yourself. And we showed you how. And so the next few weeks I'm exhausted just talking about it. The next few weeks are going to be videos to go along with, like with actual screen sharing to show you what you should be seeing on your screen. And they'll go along as a companion to the book. Like, I do like knit alongs sometimes and crochet alongs and sew alongs all the time. I love following along with somebody that knows what they're doing. So the book there will be videos that you can follow along with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll get to that. But it was like, all right, so what's after that? So I'm itchy. Like I'm disappointed that my book hasn't sold.
The one that's not out yet.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's not out yet. And I'm already in my brain going, ugh, what a failure.
That was a failure.
Yeah. And it's not even out yet. So getting putting the cart ahead of the horse. Like I know it's going to be really helpful for people. And breaking up the chapters so they're just coloring pages is a really good idea. It's a hybrid. So it's a learning book, and it's also got lots of mental health breaks in there. And we had some kids over the other day, some of our kids' friends, and told them about the coloring books. And one guy goes, you know what? If I did that in school, I wouldn't find school so boring.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, maybe pass out some coloring pages every now and then, even in the higher grades.
Yeah. These are middle school age kids.
Yeah, but I'm tapped out.
Yeah.
So
we spent today trying to figure out what to do with our podcast set.
Oh.
Like we were trying to figure out if we can move it up to the living room where we have our workshop now, and if we could put up a big curtain or maybe some kind of a backdrop, or maybe if we could still do it down here and put up a backdrop or a curtain, or get rid of the couch, and then we ended up just using the couch tonight. But
well, I think it was good to warn people, for anybody that watches, that
get ready.
The set might be
There might be
changing.
some changes.
But I'm just I'm feeling spring cleaning. Well, it's almost summer. But I've just looked at these rafters here in the basement, and I think I might have told you something wrong today, because the rafters run that way, and we need to hang stuff. So we were trying to find studs in the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
If anybody has any advice on how to find studs in a ceiling...
I'm pretty sure a stud finder would work. We just don't have one.
We've owned some stud finders, and they didn't work either because we don't know how to use them. So we're just going to poke a whole bunch of holes in the ceiling to hang a curtain, I think, in the living room. But I'm not sure yet, because we put up a beautiful black curtain, and then I was like, no, it's a bit dank, a bit dark. So we hung up a drop cloth, which, I don't know.
We'll figure
I'm
it
having
out.
a mid-podcast crisis because I'm ready for a change, and I don't know where it's going to... Josh was like, why don't we just make it about anything? What if we just talk every week? And I was like, maybe. Because I just feel like we've covered every topic in self-publishing. I feel like we've done it to death, and my interest is waning, so I can only assume people watching or listening.
Well, we did a radio show about music, about musicians and musicians in the area, and we did some shows with musicians internationally. We talked to some people in Australia and the U.S., and we've done a podcast on self-publishing and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
We could do anything else.
Yeah. I don't know if I have a brand new creative outlet in me, but I don't know. I just thought maybe we'll use some puppets and put some skits in here and some stuff we've been writing. We haven't heard from that broadcaster that we sent a pitch to, and it's getting close to the deadline for funding and things like that, and like their fiscal is whatever. So I'm kind of thinking, screw it, let's do it on our own. Costs us nothing to do it in the basement, and we have time. Well, that's it. I'll make it anyway, because waiting around, the whole funding cycle in Canada is a bit messed up, because you put an application in and it takes 3 months for them to look at, and then they don't tell you for another month or 2 months, and you're not allowed to start it until they tell you it's okay to go ahead with it. So basically, you're excited about an idea, and then you just stop.
Got to put it on a shelf.
and you 6 months later, you're supposed to get the same momentum going that you felt when you wrote the application. And I just don't understand that cycle of how the hell do you get back in the groove when you have put it away for
Shut it down.
Or they turn it down, and then you're like, oh, so that's it. I've waited all this time, and I could have been working on it for the last 6 months while I waited for this. And I get it. Funding is very important and very rewarding, but it's like, but the creative, it doesn't really match up with the creative flow.
Yeah.
Of, I don't know what the solution is. I have no idea. I don't know.
Being an artist and being a business don't seem to go together, but they kind of have to go together, which is kind of hard.
So that's an interesting difference there that you're talking about, because going for arts funding in Canada means you're not treating it like a business, and you're applying for funding to pay for your artwork. So where we are is, I'm a little bit more, I don't know if it's ADHD or short attention span or whatever, but I feel like when I get an idea, I want to do it right then. Like if I send an email out to somebody and say, hey, you want to write a song together? And they, maybe next month, like, you might as well tell me to go to hell. You like, just say no.
That's a no. That's
a no. If it's not an enthusiastic yes, it's a no. So I lose interest immediately. I like, okay, fine, I'll have 100 other ideas. That's fine. But I need to do it right then when the mood strikes. And so we did that with the books. And I also, now that I'm running out of energy with this, like, we just have one more draft with the whole set. There's literally 5 books on the way to us, and it's going to be one more pass through, and then they're ready to publish. But I'm so tired. Like, I'm so tired.
It's been a lot of work.
It's been a lot, and it's like, sometimes it takes people months to put out one, and we're putting out 4. So it's been a lot. But I am looking ahead to, I can get that last little leg of the race over with, if I can know that there's something else. Like, where are we going after we leave the track, you know?
There's another plan.
There needs to be something else there that I can kind of swing from this vine to the next vine and go, okay, I know I'm grabbing onto something that I can look forward to. And
yeah.
I mean, musically, there's nothing on the horizon. There's like, if I were to write more songs, there's nowhere to play them. And so I'm kind of trying to figure out, like, well, and if I were to do comedy, like, where are you going to do comedy? I don't know. So I don't know. I'm cleaning out the cupboard and trusting that whatever's meant for me will show its head. It will, you know, what's the thing you call the not turtling? What's the
prairie dog?
Prairie dog. That's gonna.
I think that's a different meaning.
So I'm waiting for the next artistic thing to prairie dog its way up into my life. Now that means something completely different, but I mean it, because it is really like, what shit's going to show up next? I have no idea. Really,
what shit's going to show up next?
Well, it's true. Lots of swear words on this one, but that's okay. Just bleep those out for
the team to do that.
Yes. So I'm not really sure what's next, but I'm quasi excited. I'm tired. And also super disappointed that the books haven't sold. The ones that aren't out yet.
The new books that haven't been released yet.
Yeah. So that's kind of I'm so excited, and it's like, I can't wait for people to read them and
So
and
for our artists,
them.
I think for our artist friends, like, give us some stories, give us some feedback. Like, I think people that listen to this are probably also creatives and have similar feelings of, like, you getting worn out or getting, like, losing interest before you even get started because your first draft sucks, or, like, I think this is a common thing. And I think if we have other people saying, like, yeah, totally, I get that.
Join the community of people who are supporting each other, emotionally and psychologically supporting each other. Speaking of emotional and psychological support, a shout out to Hannah Slay, who bought a copy of How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking and sent me a picture when it arrived in Tennessee.
That's pretty exciting.
So I just want to say that I wrote that book to try comedy writing. And it is in the house of probably one of the better comedians to come out of Canada. And that's Hannah Slay. And I just love her so much. I just can't even, like, you don't know what somebody's going through in their life. You don't know what your act of kindness is going to do. And it made me so happy.
Yeah,
she's
really
amazing.
Nice.
Like, just such a supportive thing. She didn't have to do that. Really. It was beautiful. So it just made my day. I was very, very happy. So I hope she enjoys it. And that's the thing. Like, I'm excited to share, and I'm really kind of at that crossroads of, do I keep posting on Facebook, or am I going to try my luck with strangers? And I know I've said that before, but it's really like, okay, let's say you try your luck with strangers. How do you do that? I don't know. I know how to post on Facebook and feel like crap after. That one I have perfected. That I'm a pro. I could teach a masterclass in how to make yourself feel like trash.
How to properly use the cesspool that is Facebook.
It's just the same. Like, I get it. But it's just not a market. It's not a market. It's a place to get patted on the back, but it's not a place to make sales, which is really like, if nobody's reading what I'm writing, what is the point? I can't not write. I figured that out. I can't not do these things. I can't not crochet. I can't not make shirts. Like, I need to be doing these things for my own mental health.
Yeah.
But it's like, is it worth nothing? Like, all this stuff, like, I mean, do people sell dishcloths? Do they sell hats? Do they sell books? Do they sell movies? Do they sell documentaries or songs? Like, you know, do songs get optioned for movies and stuff? Like, it happens for other people, so why not me?
Right, exactly.
So I just feel like I've just been piling up this big body of work, and it's like, I'll make more, but it's like, it'd be nice to see, like, you know, that story of the kid that puts his hole in the dike.
Finger in the dike.
Puts his finger in the dike and stops the flood. Like, I want to take the finger out of the dike and go, I'd like to see a little bit flooding through there. Not this wall, please. I'm not inviting floods. I'm just saying, I'm ready for what comes next. Like, okay, I've done the starving artist, I've done the struggling artist, and now it's like, you know what? Don't offer me an open mic position. If you're doing paid shows, I deserve to be there. Is that
100%? Yeah.
Like, we don't need gigs for you where you're doing volunteer work.
Right.
Like, volunteer work is honorable and great, but like, you've done your diploma, you've got lots of experience, you've made documentaries and you've made TV shows, and you produce a podcast, and you do lots of video and audio editing. You do all of our posters and book covers and all those things. Like, it is time for this thing to happen, and I don't know how to get there. I don't know. We're here. Here's paid, happy, doing work we love, never have to work a day in our lives, but we're doing work because it's creative. I don't know how to get there. There's a big gap there, and I'm not sure how to connect those things, but that's really where. And so, starting off with, maybe we move our set upstairs, maybe we put a backdrop.
Just a change. A change is good as a rest.
Reformat the podcast. I don't know. But anyway, I feel like this is very raw and vulnerable, but like, this is why.
We won't air this one. We'll have our therapy session, and we'll just get rid of this one. Just the morning pages.
I was going to say that people that are listening might actually identify with some of the stuff we're saying. Because
that's a good point.
I feel like
we will air this.
I wanted to post on Facebook. Thank you. Earlier today, I thought this is where my first stop usually is, because I don't know where else to put my writing, except in books, and they're coming. But I thought, what if I were to post something like, have you ever felt really stuck? Like, that what you're doing was Monday morning today. Well, like, what you're doing all week long is kind of like not really getting you where you want. You're not getting the connection that you're hoping for. And I was like, shut up, Vickie. Nobody wants to hear, shut up. Who wants to hear that? Who wants to be reminded that they're what? And it was like, so I didn't write anything. I'm saying it on the podcast now, though. So we should start a podcast. Everybody should start a podcast.
Everybody should start a podcast. We keep trying to get Henry to start a podcast. He's 14 and he refuses, but man, he goes on some rants.
He is so fascinating and hilarious to me. I guess I just agree with him on most of the stuff he talks about, and he's so passionate. And I just remember being idealistic and 15 and 14 and 16 and just, man, I just love it. I just love the energy. He's so enthusiastic about life, and he's so mad about injustice that I just love to listen to him, because he's so on the right side of everything. I think he loves people, and he loves people succeeding and getting ahead and doing well. And it breaks his heart to see people getting pushed down and treated unfairly. And I just love that it's just so sweet and innocent. And he's just the greatest. He's one of the greatest people I've ever met. So he's in the top 3. There's Josh, Peter, and Henry. They're amazing. I have the most amazing family. And so sometimes I wonder, like, maybe this is it. Maybe that's all I get. I get a great family. I have dogs too. So like, maybe that's all Vickie gets.
We got some good stuff
What
going.
more could you possibly want? Like, well, I guess some book sales would be nice. Like, greedy. But I don't know. I'm going to keep writing. I'm just kind of tired with, I'm kind of tired. It's a lot of work. A lot of work gone into it. And of course, if you weren't doing, it was because you were doing a work term. It was like, we can really capitalize on this time, this concentrated time.
Did we overdo it? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think I'll get back to it. I'm just tired. And now it's like, okay, well, now there's the final push to sell. And like, I don't know how to do that. I really don't. Other than talking on a podcast about it and hoping that some new listeners find us and go, what book is she talking about? Because I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast before, but there was a lady Her name is, I think, Nikki Schreiner, or something like that. She runs a YouTube channel. She's a YouTuber, and she's also a sewing instructor. And
we did talk about this a couple weeks ago. That's
right. I think her model, I don't know how well she thought it through. I really don't. I mean, she seems to really be on the ball. But she did this 15-minute video on YouTube where she talks about, I think it was called How to Make Money Sewing. Perfect, right? So based on your algorithm, it showed up in my feed at like 6 a.m. I was completely sold. About 11 minutes in, she just casually mentioned like, oh, I wrote a book about this. It has all the details about what I needed to get started teaching kids sewing classes, how much I charge, how to market it. And I was like, yeah. So I went and bought the book. It was like $22 US from her website. I went and looked up her website and downloaded her ebook, and I printed it off, and I love it. And the font was like this big. It was only 70 pages.
Very big for our listeners.
Huge,
it was very big font.
Huge. It was like, it wasn't an encyclopedia. It just covered her experience and what led her to teaching classes for kids. And there was a whole bunch of free patterns and supply lists that you could use, and how to price it, and how to market yourself, and how to price it so that it's competitive with other activities that are going on in the community. And then also how to tap into where the people who would buy that are hanging out, like mom groups and things. And so I would love to talk to a marketing person who could say, Vickie, here's where people are hanging out that would want your books.
Okay, we had to take a quick break to deal with the dogs, but we're back with a puppet. Yeah. Can you get your mic?
Oh. Hello. Would you like to say hi? Hello.
So back in COVID times, we wanted to get puppets, and we went to a lady that was in
Manitoba,
yep, that makes puppets based on like a picture of you. Like she'll make a puppet of you. So we sent her pictures of all of us, all four of us, me, you, Henry, Peter. And she came back with, okay, take it easy now. She came back with, made us puppets. So this is the Henry puppet. So we decided if we can't get him to start a podcast, maybe we'll just bring him on ours.
Did we have a name for this puppet?
I don't think we named it.
I don't think so. Maybe we could have our listeners name this puppet, because we have a Vickie and a Josh and a Peter and a Henry. This is Henry, and we usually have. There's usually little. You can put like a little elastic band around the wrist, and then use a stick to move it around, so they can gesture and things
Kermit.
Like that. Yeah. This is great. We also have like a whole bunch of clothes and outfits for the puppets.
Yes, this one doesn't have any pants on.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's all right.
It's not anatomically correct or anything. But it's we got a bunch of shirts. We have a whole bunch of blank shirts that we could make like custom shirts on. So we could make like an Are You Mad at Me puppet set of puppets. And I have some scripts. Hey, can you do this?
Can I do what?
You wanna work the puppet?
I can if you want me to.
Can you do it with your, what hand is that? Your right hand? Yeah, this would be even better. Let me talk to the puppet. You can do a voice.
So this isn't doing much for the listeners.
Wait till they meet the puppet. Hello.
I thought you were doing a voice.
You do a voice.
Oh, I have to do a voice?
Yes, you do a voice.
Hang on, I gotta get my hand in the mouth there.
Yeah. Do Alexis's hair.
Sup.
Wow. That's okay. Okay, sure. So welcome to the podcast. What's your name?
Bruh, my name's Henry. I'm a teenager. Can I go? My friends are waiting for me on my game.
Okay. How about, what do you want to talk about the election, Henry?
Oh Trump, right?
Ugh, I know.
Am I right?
This is such a great little puppet. So I feel like this is fun. This is silly and fun, and we could expand into a whole different. Do
you have a ponytail holder?
Yes. You want me to take my hair out?
No.
Yeah. Let me put yours.
I don't know if you can do that.
Come here.
Bruh.
Come here.
Bruh.
Look at this. This is amazing. What do you think?
I like it.
What if we just do a little bit? How's that?
Man bun.
Man bun. Oh, I love it. It's very cool.
I really hope people are watching and not just listening, because would be much more entertaining.
I think it's very clear that we've brought a puppet onto the set, and we're going to have fun with it. So we have a whole bunch of like ideas for skits and things that we can like recreate. It's way more fun. I don't like that. I like the hair down in his face. It looks more like Henry. Not quite like that. What a sweetheart! Isn't this the sweetest though?
It's a really great puppet. She did a good job. Kara Nordstrom.
Kara Lee Nordstrom and her partner, Kara and her son. I can remember her son's name, but not her husband's name. Anyway, it's a couple out in Manitoba who make puppets for a living. They love it, and they do Muppet versions of people. They're fantastic, and so we have one of all of us, and I have one also from New Jersey, and her name is Paula, and I let Paula out to play every now and then, and I just feel like there's some stuff I could say a little easier with a puppet.
Bruh.
Like I found with all the cleaning we did the other day, I found 2 different scripts from Ginger Sparkle Dust books that I wanted to publish, and so I know I said no more books, but
we were going to illustrate one.
Well, I think that might be just something for fun, like just a goofy. We had a book last year. Are you yawning?
I think he fell asleep.
Hey, Henry.
Oh.
Okay. We did a book last year, and it was designed for kids of a certain age who need a little bit further explanation about some things that happen at Christmas time. And so it's the story of the marketing agreement that Santa has with some of the bigger corporations. And that's
like Nintendo and Xbox.
And that's why sometimes the gifts that end up under the tree are brand name. It's because Santa has a marketing agreement with all these companies, and that's why you get stuff from the North Pole that has a logo on it, because in return, all these companies are allowed to use Santa's image. That's the deal they have, is they can put Santa on things for free, and then in return they give out a bunch of products for younger for kids to show up from the North Pole under the Christmas tree. And it's a sweet little story, and I think it was Ginger Sparkle Dust was kind of the narrator for that one, and we just can't agree on what she looks like. I mean, Ginger Sparkle Dust has a puppet version and a person version, but we've never really been able to agree on what she looks like as a character. And so I don't know if anybody out there in
we've drawn a few iterations.
Yeah, we can't seem to
GSD.
But if anyone has any artistic ability and would like to give it a go, we'd be happy to. We're going to need her to articulate her arms and legs and be able to move her around and stuff. So it would need to be like a front profile and a side profile. But anyway, if you know anything about Ginger Sparkle Dust, I feel like the image will go along with it.
Yeah.
I think we just overthink it a lot.
Probably.
Because we have been through a lot of different characters. We've tried it a lot, and it just hasn't. But I feel like that's kind of like, I just want to have fun next. I feel like these books about publishing have been on my heart for a really long time, and kind of like in the way. Like, I could do this other thing, but I really should write these books. And I just have felt like that. And then I would talk myself out of it and say, just publish your own damn books. And then I was like, so anyway, I got it out of the way. Those books are just about done. And so now it's like, well, what about maybe just have some fun now?
Yeah.
That's kind of where we are. So anyway, let us know if you hate puppets. Let us know, and we won't do puppets. That's not true. We're definitely going to do puppets.
We're going to do something with them.
Yeah. But it's kind of like, I don't really know where we're headed with the podcast. I'm having fun. I like doing the podcast. I just feel like we kind of need to move the energy in the room a little tiny bit, like a feng shui almost. She just moved the energy around. We went to a great little spot a couple of weeks back. We went down to Hempware and stocked up on incense. So we're getting and we got a singing bowl, which was really beautiful.
Really nice. Yeah.
It was really nice. So I think we're kind of leaning more a little towards that whole world of like, being on a nice vibration, feeling good, having good people around us, doing things that feel good.
Good vibrations.
I think, I know things work out, and I like when I look back at like all the stuff we've done and all the stuff we've made, it's like, I mean, I kind of don't care. Like, I don't care about what we made 20 years ago or 10 years ago. It's like, maybe the next thing will be help or, a little more lucrative or whatever. I'm open to whatever. But I'm cleaning the cupboards out once again. Puppet Henry, thank you so much. I asked
Mom.
Yeah?
Mom.
Yeah.
Can I have my phone back?
I want you to stay on the podcast, Henry. I don't want you to be looking at your phone while we're actually in front of people here.
Are we done?
No, we're not done. We got a few more minutes left. Can you just not? Oh my God, teenagers.
Okay, I'm back.
Yeah?
Quick nap, let's go.
We should have some dog puppets, I think. But I think we should name the puppets. And I got a few that we made ourselves. And I just feel like they're looking at, they literally are staring at me.
Didn't Kara make the people puppet too?
I have a 3-headed puppet with 3 full bodies, but they're connected ear to ear. And they all, when their mouth moves, they all move together because that's basically, people. Like when people say, I don't know if you should be doing that.
Like, what would people say?
What would people think, though?
What would people think?
Basically, it's a 3-headed monster that represents all people. And it's the ones who kind of criticize your ideas and tell you that you shouldn't be doing it. And so we call that the people puppet, and it's 3 people. Because you know what it feels like? It's like everybody's saying the same thing to me. That's where it is. And I guess it could eventually, that characters could have an arc where they eventually come around and it's like, oh, now they're like fans or they're part of a really positive audience.
Like maybe in some cartoons where like the bad guy from the first season will end up being a partner on the second season for a different bad guy. Yeah.
See, we're writing it right here on the air while we're doing this. So the monster puppet, we got a big furry one that we called Paul for the How to Fail a Documentary Filmmaking series, and it was not a big hit because we had him sniffing Tic Tacs, and that was the reason that show got turned down. They were like, we can't have this on the air. You made fun of Paul.
He has to keep working here.
Like, well, if he's working here, everybody knows what he's like.
They know.
He wasn't sniffing Tic Tacs. It was a joke. Who sniffs Tic Tacs? It was just like he was just super hyper. And comical and all that stuff. And anyway, whatever. But anyway, we still got that fluffy Paul puppet. And we got another one. We actually have a Josh puppet. We have a Josh Mentions puppet also with a Rasta head and the same glasses that Josh Mentions wears. And there's a dog under our camera
Sparky
right now.
is scratching himself under our camera.
Come here, puppy. So there's lots of potential for puppets and animated things and skits. And I don't know. I think we might change the set. I like the bookcase. But I hate the sides. Like, that's why we're in a tighter shot today. Because seeing the stuff on the sides and the green screen behind us and this old couch is like, I'm ready for a change. I just feel like we're in a dank basement.
Mom.
What?
I'm also ready for a change.
Are you?
Can I go?
Can you just talk to the
Hi,
dog?
Sparky.
Talk to the dog.
Hey, buddy. Yay.
I love it. Okay, so how long have we been here, Josh?
About an hour.
All right. So that's good for this week. Get in touch and tell us all your creative stuff that you're working on. And, if any of this stuff resonates with you, reach out and tell us. Just let us know we're not alone.
Yeah.
And we're not just a couple of
weirdos with puppets.
A couple of weirdos that are like, oh, boo-hoo, my creative project isn't a massive success before it's even finished. I don't know. We're all in this together.
I think Henry fell asleep again.
Did he fall asleep? Hey, Henry. Nah, that is exactly how he wakes up. And this hair is spectacular.
It's so much like Henry's.
I love it. It's so nice. And what would he say if I was touching his hair right now?
Mom, stop it.
Give it up. Yeah. All right. So if you got any ideas for puppets, or if you want to name the puppets, or you want to come on the show with your own puppet, if you have a character that you feel like you could express
Get your own podcast.
If you can express yourself even easier with a puppet version of yourself, reach out to Carolee Nordstrom of Nordstrom Creations. Not a sponsor. We just really love what they do. But yeah, and we have a lot of fun with these puppets, or we're about to. They have been staring at me for the last 30 weeks saying, why don't you play with me?
30 weeks?
30 episodes, babe. This is 30 episodes today. So
we could do a podcast.
The puppets could do a podcast. And it's like, well, does anyone want it? But if people are just listening to the audio, it doesn't matter if we're using puppets. Right? We could have a whole bunch of different characters. I feel like you should work on the voice a little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it sounds just like yours. Remember the feedback.
Henry sounds just like me, doesn't he?
No.
Oh.
No, the kids sound like each other. But back in the day when I was doing How to Fail at Documentary Filmmaking, one of the feedback notes was, we can see your mouth moving. Like, yeah, well, they're not real. The puppets aren't real. They can't talk without somebody voicing them.
And people watching know that puppets have puppet workers.
And I have since seen videos from the Jim Henson where he talks about that, and he says it's totally fine for the. I mean, he had lots of people hiding down behind tables and stuff, but he was also a proponent of it's okay if somebody's talking. People don't care.
Yeah,
it's okay. They see the puppet as a different character,
right.
And it's okay if you see the person's mouth moving. Nobody cares. And we just watched Forgetting Sarah Marshall again last night with the Dracula musical. I mean,
good.
And also, I mean, talk about the universe speaking to me. We watched Brett Goldstein's stand-up special.
Yeah.
He had puppets because he did Sesame Street a while back, and he said it was the greatest day of his life. And he said everything compared to that pales in comparison.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like that about the day that I sang with Alan Doyle, quite honestly. It has been downhill for me since I sang with Alan Doyle. There is nothing better. I mean, there might be. I don't know what it is. I certainly haven't seen it. But like one of the puppets we have, we happen to have a little leather jacket for it, and it kind of looks like Alan Doyle. So I think I could dress up these puppets to talk. Like maybe we could dress one up like Nate Bargatze. I don't know.
We'll do some characters.
We could do some characters where I have conversations with like, hey, wouldn't it be great if you and I, let's imagine I'm talking to Alan right now. Hey, wouldn't it be great if we, there you go. If we co-wrote a song and like, Mulberry Creek opened for you on the road. Wouldn't that be amazing? And like,
that's how he talks. He never says any words.
It's
just singing gibberish.
Skip scatting and yes. He's also a wonderful person. But like, can you imagine if I could manifest, okay, so I write down a script and then I come on to podcast and I go, okay, so let's go to our manifestation, or even better, let's go to our vision board. But the vision board is a television screen, and we go into the TV where there's a video playing of the puppets interacting, the Vickie puppet talking to an Alan puppet, and she gets to ask Alan to write a song with her. Or she's talking to like a Brandy Carlisle puppet.
Ooh.
And she says, hey, I got an idea for a song. And Brandy goes, oh, I've been waiting for exactly this for some no-name in Newfoundland to reach out to me. And then we start playing guitar because I have little guitars. Or we set up a table and we do some fake Nateland signs. And like there's Vickie and there's Dusty and there's Brian and there's Aaron and there's Nate. Did I say me already?
Yeah.
Okay. And Vickie's there.
And Vickie.
Vickie's also there. And Hannah is there too. And it's like, I don't know. It's like bring your wife and your friend to work day. I don't know. But like, I think it doesn't matter if I get on Nateland. It doesn't matter if I go on tour with Alan Doyle. If I get to write the script, act it out, and have fun, I get all the feelings that I would have if I was doing those things. So it kind of doesn't matter if I actually get the manifestation.
That's right.
Which is kind of the point.
Just as long as you're having fun.
It's kind of the point. Like if I live my life every week, see, I'm excited already. This is why I podcast. Because I started off into rats and now I'm excited about an idea.
Good.
And I'm like, why am I still talking? Like I can hear my own voice echoing in here. I think we've been here too long. But
we'll get the puppets going.
What would you do? What would be who would you want to talk to? As a puppet, like if we wrote a script for you to talk to somebody for our vision board segment, who would you want to talk to where you could just be silly and pretend that you're talking to someone that you look up to? Who would you want to talk to, and what would be your dream that you would want to talk to that person about?
That's a good question.
Well, you're on the spot now.
I don't have the answer yet. I'd have to think about it.
All right, we'll wait.
Puppet Vickie.
We'll wait. Oh, my God.
I want to puppet Earl Scruggs so I could ask him how it is to play banjo for 80 years, and is he okay from when he fell off the stage that time that I went to see him?
That's my favorite story. Was he 80 when he fell?
Something like that,
Is he dead now?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, wow. Rest in peace. But Josh told me this story about how he went to see Earl Scruggs and he just fell off the edge of the stage. And I know it was a tragic story and it was meant to be really heartbreaking, but I could not.
It was kind of dark and there was stairs on one side of the stage and not on the other side, and they didn't really make it clear to him. And when he finished his set, he just walked off the side where there were no stairs, and it was like a maybe 4-foot riser or something. It was like it was Bluegrass Festival, so it was
like he's a legend.
Yeah, he just fell face first.
All these producers and stage managers standing around, and no one thought to tell the legend that stage ends there. No one had like a hold of his elbow to lead him. I mean, come on. That's why it's not that the old man fell down. That's not why it's funny. It's just the logistical nightmare of how did nobody think to lead him off the stage? I mean, you turned the lights off and expected this 80-year-old man to find his way down. I mean, God, when Alan pulled Henry up on stage, Henry, do you want to tell us about that? We went to a show. We went to a show up in Moncton. He was much younger, and he hates when I tell these stories. He gets so embarrassed because he's not totally comfortable yet with how much his mom just adores him, and he's like, Mama, ugh. But they were like seriously the cutest kids on the planet. So Henry, what happened when we were up in Moncton?
Well, bruh, I went up on stage.
How did it happen? Alan came out on stage and he said, "Hi, I'm Alan."
Oh, and I said, "Hi, I'm Henry."
And Alan has a son named Henry, so there was like a little spark, and he went, "Come on up and meet me, Henry." So Henry prances up on stage, I mean, the room fell in love. There was like maybe a couple thousand people there that night at the casino in New Brunswick, and they fell in love. What a little ham. Alan introduced him to everybody in the band. He gave him a drumstick. Chris McFarlane gave him a drumstick, and he brought the house down. Alan was like, well, it was amazing. And then I saw Alan the next day at the ECMAs, and he didn't realize that Henry was my son. It was like, so we met, and it was like I was interviewing Corey Tedford that day, so I was waiting for the sound check that day because it was earlier in the day. And Alan came over and said hey and stuff. And as he was walking by, I said, hey, thanks for being so nice to my kid last night. And he stopped dead in his tracks and turned around and he went, Henry's your kid? And I went, yeah. And he goes, I love that guy, man. He made my night last night. And I was like, yep, that's how he is. And it was just like, it was such a parent moment between me and this absolute mega star. And I just love him so much. And there's been lots of other encounters with Alan that I just love him so, so much. And anyway, maybe that's my plan. I want to go do this right now. I want to go make a set and write a script right now.
Good.
For that, because it was like, it's just so fun to just be silly and have fun. And I feel like you and I have both grown up in environments where it was not okay to be silly and it's not okay to play. And you never know when if everybody's drunk around you, it's okay to be silly then, but you got to know your place because it could turn to anger very quickly. And I just feel uncomfortable around, and I just feel like I know people would be surprised to hear that about me, but I'm nervous all the time about being silly. And like if I do something silly in front of people, I cringe afterwards and go, I can't believe I did that. So I want to make an environment for us to be silly and have fun and just play around and have fun. And if we're doing that in front of a camera, then maybe other people will feel a little safer doing those things. That's because true. It really,
we'll set a silly
adults
precedent.
Now. We are adults. We get to decide if it's okay to be silly. We are the ones setting the tone in a room. And I think I'm finally starting to get my head around that. Like, oh, I get to vote. I get to set the tone. I get to decide who's, like, as a producer, I get to decide who my camera people are, who my director is, who my guest host or my co-host or my, the people that are on my set. I decide. And if somebody is not nice, I get to decide that person's not around anymore. And I get to bring in new people. And if we want to make opportunities for people with disabilities or differences or, new ideas, like when I'm in charge, I know I can keep a safe space.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I don't work out at a lot of jobs. What they've been told is I have way too much personality. And that's fine. But I know I am definitely not meant for, I don't do well when I have 15 bosses and people telling me like, nope, you're too loud, you're too much, that idea doesn't work, we used to try that, or we've done that before and it didn't work. Like that dampens, that steps out. Our friend Baraka has a line in a song and he says, you want the fire, but you keep putting out the sparks. And that is exactly why I need to be in charge. I need to produce myself because I can set the tone and I know I'm going to create a safe creative space for people. And I want to enjoy that too. I want to be a part of that fun creative space where it's okay to be silly and goof and have fun. And,
so who knows what our podcast is going to look like next week?
I have absolutely no idea, but I will tell you.
We'll see.
I will tell you that we worked on something earlier today that was pretty fun because someone told me. So we're just having fun. Like taking things too seriously doesn't seem to, it's not getting me anywhere to take it too seriously. So, but someone mentioned to me the other day that my first book, For the Grace of Joe, which I co-wrote with Josh, was like the casserole you wish somebody had sent you the day after your baby died. I mean, that's like, can't you feel the mac and cheese? Like, can't you feel the soup or the casserole? So we did a video earlier today of making one of our favorite recipes up in our kitchen. And we had like the book strategically placed so that you can always see it when I'm chopping and cooking.
Making the casserole. And there's a recipe. So the video will have like the recipe for the casserole. It will show me making the casserole and it will have the book like just in the frame, a little tiny bit. And the caption will be, this is For the Grace of Joe is the casserole you wish somebody had brought to you the day after your baby died. And it was just like, that's exactly what. There it is.
It's the tonic. It's you're not alone. This sucks. We've been there. It doesn't feel good. Here's a casserole. Because people have that. People have that experience after somebody passes away. We didn't. We were on our own in Maine. There was nobody. There was no funeral. There was no wake. There was nothing. There was dead, eerie silence, except for the fact that we had a 2 6-year-old at the time who still needed us every single day. It was hard. So if somebody had brought us food back then, man, it would have made a huge difference. And I do know, I say that for sure because I know when you were going through, when we were waiting for your what's it called? When they do a test on what they've removed from you.
Biopsy?
No.
After they removed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
What's it
Test
called?
results.
I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, they basically removed cancer and an entire testicle, and we were waiting for them. So they sent it off to all these labs, and we had to wait for a month. So you had your surgery June 4th. The anniversary's coming up. Actually, just passed. Oh my God.
10 years.
10 years. So while we were waiting for that report, God, I can't think of the name of it. Anyway, while we were waiting for that, someone came over to our house because I think I posted on Facebook, oh my God, can anybody come over and play with our kid? We're going through it right now. So someone came over and brought an entire rotisserie chicken. And I remember watching that woman tear apart the chicken with her bare hands and make us sandwiches. And normally I'm like, ugh, she's touching the food. I didn't care. It was the most delicious chicken sandwich I've ever had in my life. She brought over a care package, like she brought over puzzles and coloring pages and little games and stuff for Henry to play with. And she brought lunch for us. And she was like, I didn't want you to worry about anything. So she brought bread, mayo, rotisserie chicken, some pesto, and I think dessert, if I'm not mistaken, and like little snacks for Henry, just in case he didn't want the pesto chicken sandwich. And it was love. It was love in the form of food. Like, it was exactly what we needed. And she was a person who had lost 2 babies, full term, and how she found the strength to look out for anybody. Like to have that capacity to care about anybody else going through it is like, I mean, maybe that's just a special breed of people who understand what it's like to be there. And those are the ones that are actually have that capacity to, I don't know. That's not to say someone that people didn't help us along the way that didn't understand. But the ones who get it, they just know, like, show up and bring a puzzle for the kid and bring this so that they don't have, and she was like, I don't want to mess up any of your dishes. So she had like
paper plates
and stuff. So we didn't have a mess after we left. She just thought of everything.
So that's some of the new marketing we're working on. I
just feel like that's one of those, you know what, if I could come to your house and pull apart a rotisserie chicken and make you a sandwich, if I could make you a casserole, I would. And in the meantime, here's this book, For the Grace of Joe, that I wrote stories that similar to what I had read that kept me company when we were going through it. And this is what I mean. Like, this is a part of liking myself and understanding that I have something to offer, and sharing it in a real way that's not like watered down and it's not polished. It's just, it's not perfect. Like these books that we're doing, they're not perfect. I keep beating myself up going, this is why I'm in the rats so much. Henry, you're being so patient, buddy. Thank you so much. We should watch a movie later.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. I feel like the books aren't complete because they're not like, they don't cover every single thing that you can do in self-publishing. It doesn't cover all the platforms. It doesn't do all the marketing techniques, but it's like,
but it's everything.
I put everything in that I knew, but it feels like it's not enough. And it's like, but for the right person, it might be just the right amount, because maybe it doesn't need to be an encyclopedia because encyclopedias exist. So does Google. I mean, you could look it up yourself, but I think delivering it with some funny stories, with some experiences that we had, it's all like in How to Be a Famous Sexy Writer, it's just straight on stories. And then in the coloring books, it's lessons. Do this thing next. Do this thing next. And now color. And so, maybe that's the format that somebody needs it in. Maybe what I have to offer is what somebody else is looking for. So I just need to believe that.
Yeah.
And otherwise, I don't know. That's all I got.
So we'll see. We'll be back next week with maybe a different studio, but in a different format.
Maybe it'll just be us as puppets.
Yeah.
So this is Henry. Thank you, Henry, for being here.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Josh. I'm Vickie Morgan. This is Sparky.
I'm Josh Morgan.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.